Hello, everyone. Welcome to 4 Pixels. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. Konetsu and I have been wanting to do something for quite a while now, and that's that we want to do an exploration of the Yuri genre. Where it was, where it is now, what exactly it means for us. And there are several things that we're going to do. This is going to be like probably a very long series, actually.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, you want to tell some of the things that we're going to be considering?
So we're going to be talking about like the certain terminology, the certain like tropes, because there are tropes in Yuri anime and manga, believe it or not. Like the lesbian rights, LGBT rights in Japan, what's going on there, why certain things are a certain way, and like how that gets put into the medium of anime and manga.
A couple of the anime manga that we will be looking into, but it's not going to be limited to just these. We're going to be starting very early on in history with probably Princess Knight, which isn't necessarily a Yuri anime, but it sort of kicked off a lot of the tropes. Bloom into You. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this one, please. Go ahead.
Netsuzo Trap.
Revolutionary Girl Utena. Yuri Kuma Arashi. Strawberry Panic. Girlfriends, and many others.
And we're also going to look into the creators, the mangaka, dojinka, directors, all of that kind of stuff. Some authors we wanted to talk about were Akiko Morishima, Kunihiko Ikuhara, who directed Yurikurama Arashi, Ryoko Ikeda, Amano Shuninta, Takako Shimura, Milk Morinaga, and there are so many more.
Oh, a whole bunch more. And you might be wondering why it is exactly that we're going to be doing this. Well, some of you who have been following for a while or know me personally, you will know that I identify as an asexual lesbian. So of course, that means that any representation of women loving women, whether they're lesbians, bisexual, pansexual, or any other sexual orientation, is very relevant to my interests.
And as for me, like, representation is really nice, but like I just really like cute stories, and you know, Yuri provides so many cute stories for me, especially since like I don't know if I don't think I've ever said it on the channel that I'm just a lesbian.
Not that I can recall.
I don't think I ever said it, but I am. So like any kind of representation, like cute representation, badass representation, I want it.
Yes. And we are just going to talk a little bit about our experiences with the genre as in this introductory video. Now, it's a little hard for me to remember because it was so long ago. But I think as far as anime and manga goes, the first time I ever came across anything Yuri was when I had this friend in 7th grade, I'm gonna say. And I met her at my school. She was very, very rich, and she was a huge otaku. So when I visited her house, she just had like this huge library of anime. And that was actually the first time I ever started watching like subs as opposed to the dubs that I would see in Toonami. And so one of the first things she showed me was Cardcaptor Sakura.
Oh, nice.
Immediately, I saw Tomoyo and how she was acting around Sakura, and I called it. I was like, is she in love with Sakura? And my friend was like, what? No, they're just really good friends. And I'm like, are you sure? And we just
gal pals.
we just argued about this for a while, and then later when she had read the manga, she was like, oh, you're right.
Like, oh yeah, she literally says it.
Yeah, she was like, it's more obvious in the manga. But yeah, that was the first time I saw it. and it kind of blew my mind. It's so weird because like while I recognized it immediately, it was still shocking to me. And then I just kind of became obsessed with that. I was like, huh, this is just, I hate to say it because this is so stereotypical, but I guess when it comes down to it, it was me being like, girls can like girls? So yeah, that was my introduction to Yuri.
And as for me, I think it was about the same time in middle school. I was in 7th grade and I had, like, my family had just gotten our first computer, so I was like super into it and really obsessed about YouTube. And then I came across a video, and I think it had Kanazuki no Miko in it. And I just thought, like, I just thought, like, oh, that looks really cool. I want to see that. Like, what kind of show is that? And I found out that it was a Yuri anime, and I was like, what? No, it wasn't Kanazuki no Miko. It was Strawberry Panic.
Oh.
And I was like, I think I had the same reaction. Girls can like girls?
You know, it's so funny because like whenever I see something like that, it was like, we can't be in love. We're both girls. I hate it so much, but then I had a similar reaction when I first came across it. So maybe that's fair. It's just annoying that it's so rampant.
Well, I don't think it's more like, I don't think I really asked like, is that okay? It's more like, wow, it is okay. It's an anime. I love anime.
Aww.
Like, if it's in my anime, it must be okay. Because, like, at that point, I think I had, like, 2 crushes, but I was like, no, that's weird. I can't. No. And then finally seeing it in anime, I was like, oh my god.
It's okay. Aw. That's good. You did a good anime.
Even if it wasn't so good.
Yeah. I mean, like, I haven't even seen it, but
You haven't seen it?
Strawberry Panic?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Remember, like, I heard of it back when it was
so bad.
Like, from what I've picked up and like screenshots of it, I know. That's all I know. But it's still one of those things, like when I first heard about it back when I was a wee Coco, I wanted so desperately to watch it because back then, at least to my knowledge, that was like the only anime in which they didn't beat around the bush, in which was like, no, these are girls who love girls, they kiss, they bang, they like each other. There's like no ambiguity. So I was like obsessed with finding it, but I had no pirate food talent back then, so I couldn't find any torrents.
I just did illegal streams. I didn't care. I was like, I want to watch this show.
But yeah, as much as I know it's bad, a part of me is excited that I'll finally be watching it for this, because it's just like, it's such a staple. It changed so much for the genre.
There are so many staples that like made the genre be a thing that are just awful and awfully written, but they're like the classics.
We'll take what we can get. We were starved. Don't judge us.
I see that look you're giving us.
Oh. But yeah, like after that first experience and, you know, like also having access to the internet, that's when I started deliberately looking for it. Obviously, I didn't know the term, but I started looking for things about Sakura and Tomoyo, and that eventually led me to the Shoujo Ai forums, which was a forum for Yuri and lesbian fanfiction that was like...
Is that still a thing?
No, unfortunately it's not a thing.
Oh, I remember visiting that place so many times when I was looking for something.
It was a great place, it really was. But like, I actually got really curious because I knew it was dead, but I wasn't sure about like what had happened or if there was an archive. And unfortunately, its founder died in 2007, And
Damn.
yeah, like the site was like rescued by like some of the other creators or managers, but then someone else died again, and the mirror domain stopped working.
Oh my
So
god.
yeah, like there's like a download. There's like a place where you can download the stories that were there. There weren't actually a lot in retrospect, but it was like the place to find fan fiction and discuss these things with people.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from that, were there any other things that like you did? You mentioned that you found illegal streams.
I did.
How did you find those?
I just looked it up. Like, I just looked up Strawberry Panic episode 1.
Real? It was that easy? Well,
Yeah.
okay. So I forget that there's a significant age difference between us. Wait, how old are you again? You're like 21?
21.
21. Yeah, so that's like a 7 year. That's a 7 year age difference.
That's not that big of a gap.
As far as the internet is concerned, it is.
Oh, yeah, true.
Like, a lot changed technology-wise in those years. So yeah, like, I was like a mad woman trying to find something, some way to be able to find the very little shows we had, with very little luck. There was only one anime that I eventually managed to torrent, and that was Maria-sama ga Miteru.
I never watched that.
Oh, it's really pretty. And like for me, the first 2 episodes, like they still stick with me. Like the impact that those first 2 episodes leave is just great. And it seems like it's going to be one of those animes in which there's no ambiguity about that, since the main character literally says, I love her. Like, I have feelings for this person, to herself. But then after that, it's just like nothing's happening. They never really address it again, as far as I can remember. And like, there is one character who is definitely a lesbian, and she's out? Question mark. But it never really seems to go anywhere. So yeah, it's like they literally shoved the bait in my mouth, pulled me in, and then just left me there to hang.
That's kind of like what anime is like nowadays, with Yuri and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know lately there have been a lot of shows where they did us, and then nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, they're just gal pals.
Just friends. They'll eventually grow out of it.
Oh god, I hate that.
Yeah. We're gonna have a lot to say on that subject, but we won't get too deep and we won't get into it right now, since that would go on for a long time. There's so much to that.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that was really hard about being a Yuri fan back then, and unfortunately we've seen a resurgence of it now. We were just talking about this a little bit ago, but fujoshi. How is that term regarded in Japan? Like, is that a negative term, or is it just something to describe a woman who likes yaoi?
Let me look up the kanji.
Cause like I feel awkward doing this because it's not my word. I'm not Japanese in any regard, so I feel like I probably shouldn't be doing this. But I personally make a distinction between yaoi fans and fujoshi. Yaoi fans, cool. I like yaoi too. Fujoshi, for me, are the ones who take it to the extreme of fetishizing it, and are also the ones who hate female characters simply because they are female and they quote-unquote get in the way of their ship. We faced a lot of that. You would get a lot of, and it was women themselves who would demonize other women, who would demonize female characters, who were pretty much like the equivalent of frat boys. They would view gay men as something to fetishize and then turn around and mark lesbians or bisexual women as disgusting. And it's also pretty frustrating because I really want to make a distinction. Since I know there are a lot of women out there who sort of use these relationships as a way to discover their own sexuality, and I don't want to be the one condemning them for doing that. I think that is a thing that the yaoi genre has brought to women of all sexualities that is a wonderful thing, and it's just unfortunate that among that group are also these others who are just so hateful. And it's baffling, even. So, I mean, that's why I'm kind of asking about how it's regarded in Japan. And you would see so much hatred towards female characters. Like, I remember my first real experience with it. Like, one of the first anime characters I like fell head over heels in love with is Winry Rockbell from Full Metal Alchemist.
Ooh, I love her.
She's amazing. She's still one of the best for me to this day. God, there was so much hatred for her. There were so much sites dedicated. They were like those anti-sites. Did you ever see any of those?
Ugh. I've never seen anti-sites, but I've seen like anti-tumblers for certain characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing as that. It's pretty
true.
much just a gathering of let's hate this person, let's create fan art of them being mutilated, it was so awful.
Or like, because when I was younger, when I first got into anime, I was a huge Naruto fan. Oh, God. Because, like, you couldn't like a female character because they were like, oh my god, she's like so bad because she's getting in the way of Sasuke and Naruto getting together.
Yeah.
And they would like be so nasty. Like, you couldn't even like the character without them being like, oh, she's so horrible. She's getting in the way of Sasuke and Naruto's love. I'm just like, God, just let me like this character. Okay,
what did she do? Did she like slit your mother's throat or something?
No, but if she did, Naruto and Sasuke would have saved me. So, fujoshi is an actually negative word in Japan. It is composed of the kanji fu, which means rotten, and joshi, which means girl or woman. So fujoshi means rotten woman.
Oh. Alright. That still makes me, now that I actually know, it's so funny because at first I was like, well, if it's a negative term, then I won't be afraid to use it in a negative context, but now that I actually know what it is, that's a bit extreme.
But it also means woman, just a woman. So like some people think like it has like a double meaning of, because like women in Japan aren't really supposed to be collecting and buying anime. And so they they kind of think of it as like what is it called? Like they're living a double life, I think. There's a word for it. Like their fujoshi side, which is just a woman, their regular normal woman self, and then there's their fujoshi side, which is their rotten woman, BL obsessed, fanatic fangirl inside of them. So I guess it really depends on the kanji that you use.
Yeah. God. Blake, I don't think I could ever have the determination to learn Japanese, but there's still so much about it that I respect. Because of how layered it can be.
Yeah, because like fujoshi can have the first kanji fu. It can be two different things, which one of them means a grown woman, an adult woman, and the other one means a rotten woman, just based on one character being changed.
Damn.
And it came from like 2chan, which is like 4chan in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where we read that lovely Denko saga.
Poor Denko. I can still hear her screams.
I shouldn't laugh at that. But yeah, this created the unfortunate divide, which I've seen resurfacing a little in recent times between Yuri and Yaoi fans. And since Yaoi fans were the one who actually got things and were the majority, it was really hard to come forth and say I prefer Yuri.
Or to just be like, another yaoi show, another yaoi manga. Oh, yay.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want my stuff too.
You want to be happy for them because it's still good for them to have that representation,
but I'm fucking jealous at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like lately they've had Yuri on Ice,
which was like a bait and switch.
Yeah, for us, but like I mean, content-wise, for like the yaoi fans and the yaoi fandom in general, it was like such a good thing. And then what do Yuri fans get? Netsuzo Trap. That's why I prefer Yuri manga to anime, because there's just so much more like wholesome stuff to read, and it's like, oh, you're so good, I love you, manga.
Yeah. God, I can't wait till the Bloom Into You manga gets here. I bought all 3.
Did you? Oh my god, it's so good, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Whew. We've fortunately been getting a little more stuff now. The question, I think, is the quality. Like Konetsu just said, Netsu Trap, if you are not aware, is a manga meant to be well, you should explain it. You know it better than I do.
So it's a manga that came out in like 2015. It's fairly new. And it got an anime that aired this past summer season, summer 2016. And 2017. Where do I live? And it's just not a good representation for the Yuri genre, because it's like it relies really heavily on like sexual themes, and it's not written very well. So like a lot of people who went into watching the anime, just they saw Yuri like, oh, it's just porn for guys. Because the characters are dumb, the story's dumb. And it's like, from there, where do Yuri fans go when all these anime fans are like, huh, Yuri, oh, it's Netsuzo Trap, okay, whatever, forget that genre.
So, in many ways, it has been regarded largely as just a sexual thing. And like, when it comes to that, Yuri tends to either fall into sex, particularly, almost exclusively even, of the male gaze variety, or it's cloyingly saccharine, in which, first of all, it's not even technically Yuri, it's just girls acting very sort of huggy and happy, and pretty much, I'm not even sure how to put it into words. They just view female and female relationships as something that's not really love, in which there's no real physical intimacy. It's just them being happy together. And while that's a good thing, like, I love the wholesome stuff. At the same time, it kind of makes it seem, alright, this is the reason I don't like it. Because if there are women who like sex, I know that's like an amazing, astounding, unbelievable idea, it would demonize them. It says this is the way that lesbian relationships are supposed to be. They're supposed to be quote unquote pure. But I think we might be getting a bit too deep into that.
It's just the intro. We got a lot to talk about later.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about later. But those are just some of the ways in which slowly it's been changing, but we're just not sure if it's going in a good direction.
I think in terms of manga, it's been going pretty well. Bloom Into You, or Yakate Kimi ni Naru in Japanese. It's one of I can't remember the magazine. It's like Dengeki O or something. It's one of their most popular series.
Oh, that's great.
So every month that the magazine comes out, it gets very high ratings. Yu, who is the main character in the story, she's like one of the most popular characters of the magazine.
Nice.
And so like it's getting a lot of merchandise, the author's going to a lot of signings. So I mean, we might be seeing an anime soon, and if we do get one, then it means like it was just that good and it survived so long that it didn't get cancelled after 2 volumes.
Nice. Here is hoping. But with all that said, we'll wrap things up. We've touched on a lot of things in here, and you can bet that we will go in depth into a lot of these subjects. But a lot of these subjects are going to require both research and quite a long time to address everything that needs to be addressed. Yeah, but if you have any particular questions that you would like us to tackle, if you have any particular series that you would like us to review, like next on the roster, what we want to do is a video about terminology and also the history of lesbian rights in Japan. But then afterwards, we're going to be doing reviews of entire series. So if there's anything you'd really like us to watch, please let us know.
And if there's something that we didn't bring up that you know about, or if there's something we missed, if there's something that just came up and we are like not on top of it, you can let us know too.
Yeah, we're always open to discussion, corrections, suggestions, and questions. Okay, well, thank you guys for listening, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.